Hi guys, my original plan for today was to bring you along with me harvesting outside in the garden. However, we are getting some very much needed rain, and with that, of course, I wasn't going to bring my camera outside with me. So I went out, did some harvesting, and we are just going to get started on preserving some of this today. So I don't have a whole lot of a game plan. We're gonna kind of be figuring this out together, and we're just gonna see what we can get done in the next few hours. So I think what we are going to start out with are some dilly beans. This will probably be the only batch I do of pickled beans. The rest will just be pressure canned. I barely made a dent on picking the beans, and some have gone a little bit longer than I would have liked, but that is just how it goes this time of year. I also want to get some peach hot sauce done and some pickled jalapenos, and we will see where we are at after all of that and just go from there. So for the dilly beans, I have about 2.5 pounds of beans here, which should give us about 6 pints. Now I'm going to get the brine going so that it is all ready when our jars are filled. And for the brine, we are going to need 2.5 cups of white vinegar and then 2 cups of water, and I'm going to do just a few cloves of garlic as well. And then we're also going to need a 1/4 cup of sea salt. Now we are going to bring this to a boil, and then we will reduce it to a simmer for 10 minutes, and then our brine will be ready to go. So we are working with clean hot jars here, and I am going to be adding in dill heads to each jar. If you don't have dill heads, you could also do dill seed. I would do about a tablespoon per jar. And then I'm also planning to add some garlic, so I'll probably do a clove of garlic per jar, and then we'll also add in the garlic that's in the brine. And then I'm also going to be doing some chili flakes, so about a 1/4 teaspoon per jar. You can adjust that as you wish. Next, we're going to be adding in our beans. Now, I tried to just trim these to about the size that would fit into my pint mason jars. You can go ahead and measure a bean in the jar and then trim the beans accordingly. I kind of guesstimated it, so we will see how this does and if we need to adjust any. Now we are going to top these off with our brine to 1/2 inch of headspace. We will debubble, adjust headspace, get some lids on these, and these are going to process for 15 minutes in a water bath canner. And if you're above 1,000 feet of elevation, as always, you're going to need to adjust that processing time accordingly. Okay, the beans are processing in the canner behind me. I think I mentioned, but we are processing those for 15 minutes. And I am gonna get started on our pickled jalapenos so we can get those into the canner as soon as it's freed up. Now, I just moved my canner to the back burner so that I could free up this front one to make our brine for the pickled peppers. So for the pickled peppers, we will need 6 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of water, and 3 cloves of garlic. And same process, we are going to bring this up to a boil and then reduce to a simmer for about 10 minutes. So I've got some jalapenos here that I'm just slicing into rounds. I also have a couple, I believe those are pumpkin spice jalapenos, and a couple of banana peppers. So I'm gonna get these all sliced up and then we will get them into some jars. Now we are just filling to 1/2 inch of headspace, And again, we will get these debubbled, adjust headspace, and clean up the rims, get some lids on them, and they will process for 10 minutes in a water bath canner if you're below 1,000 feet of elevation. I've also mentioned that I do like to keep some brine prepared in the fridge, so this will be much more brine than we need for this recipe, so I'll have a jar to save for a later batch. Okay, it may be getting a little bit loud in here with the canner going behind me. The dilly beans are still processing, so as soon as those are done and out of the canner, we will adjust the temperature of the water in the canner and get the pickled jalapenos and banana peppers into the canner. And as I mentioned, those are going to process for 10 minutes if you're below 1,000 feet of elevation. Now, while we're waiting, we are going to get started on some peach hot sauce. Now, a couple weeks ago, I froze a ton of peaches, so that's what I'm going to be using today. They do have the skins on. You could peel your peaches, use fresh peaches, just whatever you've got. And for peppers, you could do habaneros. I'm going to be doing a mix of cayenne and sugar rush peach peppers. You could do all cayenne, all sugar rush peach, just whatever your preference is. For our peach hot sauce, we are going to simmer together 1.5 pounds of chopped peaches, a cup of apple cider vinegar, a third of a cup of honey, half of a small white or yellow onion, 6 peppers. Again, I'm going to be using a mix of sugar rush peach peppers and cayenne, 3 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons of bottled lime juice, and 2 teaspoons of sea salt. We are going to bring this to a boil, then reduce it down to a simmer and blend it up with an immersion blender. I'm going to get my jars filled to 1/2 inch of headspace. I shared a video recently with an apricot hot sauce recipe that turned out so incredible, and I'm really excited to have another fruit-based hot sauce on the pantry shelf. This is going to make about 2 pints, and I'm going to be doing this in smaller 1/2 pint jars, but the processing time for pints or anything smaller, be it 1/2 or 1/4 pints, is going to be 15 minutes. The last thing I'm going to be getting done today as far as preservation goes is simply loading up the dehydrator. I'm going to dehydrate halved cherry tomatoes, which is a great way to use them up if you've got an abundance, and we will use them throughout the year as sun-dried tomatoes. Now, these would typically dehydrate at 145 for 6 to 9 hours. I even included some of these little spoon tomatoes, which I'm honestly surprised made it inside. I've just been snacking on them right at the plant. And then I'm also going to be loading up the rest of the dehydrator trays with some sliced celery. This typically dehydrates at 125 for about 4 to 8 hours, but since I'm loading up 2 things that typically dehydrate at different temperatures, I'm going to dehydrate these at the lower temperature, 125, and just expect those tomatoes to take a little bit longer. That's it for this video. I'm happy with what we got done today in just a few hours. The rest of today's harvest, plus some more, will be on my preservation to-do list for tomorrow before we have family arrive next week. So you can expect to see another full day of preservation video here on my channel soon. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen today, and I will see you in the next video.